Welcome to tonight's match from OKC. It's historic Taft Stadium, as you see there, the fans, because tonight we have St. Louis FC visiting Energy FC from Oklahoma City. I'm Kayvon Antonio along with Simon Evans. There you have a panoramic look of the two teams getting ready for the match to start. Simon, tonight we have a match at the beginning of the season of the USL season. However, these two teams are going to have to move up the pack as of course, some of the teams have already gotten some points on the board.
Yeah, just the second game of the season for Energy FC, and they suffered a defeat in the opening game against Colorado Springs. Difficult loss that for Jimmy Nielsen's team. So this is just the second game. Some teams in the league have played 3 or 4 games already. So, yeah, you look at the league table, the standings, it doesn't look too fantastic for the team at the moment, but just after one game, it really doesn't mean a lot.
Well, there's going to be some changes, of course, in the lineups. There's some surprises with OK Energy bringing in a couple of players under 24 hours ago. And Jimmy Nielsen will have to fit him into the team and see what he does with them and how he gets them to adapt.
Yeah, one player who we're going to see right from the start, a player who's going to be very interesting to watch tonight, young United States under-18 international midfielder Coy Kraft. He's coming on loan from FC Dallas, goes straight into the midfield. He'll be expected to take up the responsibilities that Gareth Evans, who's missing tonight, has so often given this team. So he's going to be an interesting one to watch. And also coming on from the bench, Jose Cuevas, who's an interesting attacking midfielder. And he's a player we're going to talk about later because he's got a lot of talent.
Well, we'll take a look right now at some of the highlights from the last match, I think, and we'll see them right now.
And headed right in the middle. He's with the shot, punched away.
It's a rivalry on the rise.
Brandon Barklage touches it up front for Ambersley. Goal with a good flick, and the shot is high.
It's gritty, grueling.
Right in the middle. Quintana couldn't get it by volley, and the header is almost in.
Over 228 minutes played without finding the back of the net.
In front of goal, tapped in front, and it's knocked up in the air. Good roll, touch it off for Townsend, shot, and it's high.
To say goals are hard to come by, an understatement.
Right into the middle, over the top. He's able to bring it down. Fires, and it's just wide.
It's St. Louis. It's Oklahoma City. The battle starts right now.
Well, tonight we hope to see a goal between these two teams. As you heard in the story, 228 minutes between them, scoreless, including preseason matches. Here are the lineup. St. Louis with Mark Pace in goal, Sam Frank, A.J. Cochran, Patrick Doody, Jacob Bouchou, James Musa, defensive midfielder from New Zealand, Chad Bond, Parker Maher, Mike Ambersley, Jamil Hardware, the Jamaican, Vince Ciccarelli up front. And the substitutes?
Yeah, Cortez, Bond, Connor, David, Renken, and Barklage and Roberts on the bench. For me, the guy to keep an eye out here tonight, Vince Ciccarelli up front, a player who can be very, very dangerous in that final third, and somebody that OKC Energy are going to have to keep a very close eye on indeed.
Now, here's a home team, OKC Energy. This is their lineup for tonight. Well, we have a change in the goal. It'll be Carl Cochran substituting Cody Lorendi, Cyprian Hedrick, born in Cameroon, Michael Thomas, Kalen Ryden, Cody Andrews. Then the midfield, Michael Biscoff, Daniel Gonzalez, Coy Kraft, and Peter Toth. And up front, the two Danes, Sebastian Dalgard and Danny Koenig.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see how Peter Toth coming in, the Hungarian midfielder. He's a player who impressed a lot when he came out on trial to Sporting Kansas City. Jimmy Nielsen was talking to me about him this week and saying how well he did in his trial. Didn't quite live up to expectations, certainly not in terms of his consistency last season. So this is a big chance for him to come in and stake a claim to a regular place in this team.
So on the bench, Lisa Harris Cuevas, who just came in to the team from Arizona, Martinez, Frimpong, Rideout, and Jackson. So as we go to the action, well, we go to historic Taft Stadium, and we get ready. Let's see, the fans are ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining the officials for the coin flip
We're
is
ready.
Aaron Elrod. Register at Buffalo Wild Wings on Northwest Expressway for your chance to
Teams are
participate in
ready.
this once-in-a-lifetime
Try to
experience.
line up, say hello to each other. And, of course, OKC in their traditional green. see a bit of artificial turf and the crowd filling in OKC. This is in, of course, the capital city of the state of Oklahoma, the biggest city in Oklahoma, as the sports landscape gains energy, to be redundant, if we will, but this is part of it. You know, the city gets closer to becoming a recognized sports town. And let's take a look at what could have brought, of course, the St. Louis coming in. Perhaps they bring in, they're going to start in the first few minutes, perhaps to catch OKC, because OKC has had some slow starts.
They have indeed. I mean, that was one of the things that Jimmy Nielsen told me he'd been working on this week with the team, was absolutely no more slow starts. They conceded 2 early goals against Colorado Springs last week. Meant they had to fight their way out of a hole. They were behind, chasing the game all the time, responded very well, came back into the game, almost took a point out of the game. But as Jimmy was saying, if you're going to give up 2 goals early, you're giving yourself a mountain to climb in every game. So all week, his message from the team has been, right from the outset, I need to see intensity from you. I need to see alertness and awareness. And this is going to be a big test for that approach tonight, because St. Louis are a team who are relentless. They just come at you and at you. They're not going to be playing the most sophisticated tactical kind of soccer, but they just keep coming in waves, working hard. Very, very disciplined team. And I think Dale Shilley's team have got that character in them that is going to test the resilience of Oklahoma City Energy tonight. And we've got to see if the Energy can carry out Jimmy's instructions, get through that first 20 minutes without conceding a goal. Really doesn't matter what you create at the other end. Just be in a situation where it's scoreless after 20 minutes and then build from there.
Of course, as a team, you never want to have goals scored against you at certain time periods, including the last 5 minutes of each half or the match, the first 5 minutes of the game or the half, and this seems to be the problem for OKC Energy. We saw a little extra period of warm-up for the team. There we saw Daniel Gonzalez on the screen, and we have here the keeper, Cochran, sort of getting his bearings about him and getting a feel for the frame.
Yeah, former Atlanta Silverbacks goalkeeper Carl C.J. Cochran, and we're underway. But he's an experienced keeper.
We have action from Oklahoma City. OK Energy in green going from left to right on your screen. St. Louis FC going from right to left in white today. Ball goes out of bounds is for St. Louis. Vince Ciccarelli, the big boy, trying to get a left foot on it. It'll be throw-in for OK Energy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how exactly Energy's shape looks up front. Where does Peter Todt come into the side? Because we know that Danny Koenig is going to be the main man down the middle. 21 goals in 29 games last season. Fantastic record from the Danish striker.
Long ball from A.J. Cochran to the hands of the goalie, Carl Cochran. So it's the law firm of Cochran and Cochran right now on opposing teams, but with the same last name. All right, Cochran takes a look upfield. He might play it short. It looks like he's going to kick it upfield to the midfield, headed forward by St. Louis. Now it's Cyprian heads it forward, trying to get a handle on it, and now stole it. Here comes OKC. OKC Energy, ball on his foot, takes a shot. Number 14, that was Coy Kraft.
Instantly in the game there, Coy Kraft. Very, very highly rated young player. One of the homegrown signings from FC Dallas. And he's a player who, Dallas, you see here, good, driving forward, has a look up, hasn't got a pass on, so why not have a go? Good, positive approach there from Kraft, and he's a player it's going to be interesting to watch. Dallas want to see him develop this year here.
As Mark Pays takes the goal kick, you saw him and Danny Koenig, the only 2 attackers against 5 defenders. Ball sent forward. Now here comes another chance to go at the 4 defenders from the OKC midfield. And the Energy trying to get around the corner, but there's a foul called on the Energy forward. I'll get a look at the number on his back. It looks like it might be Sebastian Dalgard.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Kevin, to see already is that Peter Todt, the Hungarian midfielder, playing in a very advanced role there. He's playing up right behind Koenig. Number 17, Peter Todt. One to watch. Very talented young player. Absolutely no doubt about his ability. Just hasn't been able to deliver consistently.
Cleared by the keeper, Cochran, past midfield, headed out. And it'll be a throw-in for St. Louis FC. So Morelos is a proud sponsor of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all 3 Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are Northwest 23rd and Meridian, Northwest 50th and Meridian, and off of Northwest 5th and I-35 and more. The next home match is Saturday, April 23rd. Now St. Louis with the ball, playing it out wide. The back 4 for Energy FC intercept. They're all on the left side. Now they're going to try and get some width on that field as Cochran clears it. However, it goes out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for St. Louis.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Cochran with the clearances tonight because there just seems to be something of a wind blowing in his face that way. So going to have to use a little bit more intelligence with his distribution from the back.
The field's not so wide either, so you don't have much room for error. So it'll be throw-in for St. Louis. It's number 14 with it, Musa. Watch out, here's in the penalty area. Can somebody get something out on it? No. Cleared by the Energy FC. They prefer not to play around with it, but they do give it up. And here comes the counterattack for Energy FC in green. A little bit short. He gets nice touch on the ball. And he plays it wide, but it looked like Koenig couldn't get there.
Yeah, some promising signs there. The thing that Jimmy will be really pleased about, Coach Jimmy Nielsen there, is the way they swarmed St. Louis in the penalty area, closed them down, made sure there was no danger of conceding a goal inside the first 5 minutes there. But early threat from St. Louis, and so far we're seeing Energy looking to hit on the break.
Now don't get too pretty there, at least in the first few minutes, because you could be looking at a 1-0 deficit as Michael Biscoff was on the right side. It looks like the OKC Energy attacks will be from the right side as you have Coy Kraft, the newcomer, and Biscoff on that side. And now clearing it, Cyprian Hedrick on the midfield stripe. On the flank, right flank, one touch, long ball, and here chasing it is Koenig going against the defender. So it's 2 big boys going for that ball. Watch out if headed back to the keeper, and it'll be Cochran. I'm sorry, Pays with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, some promising stuff there, little bits of build-up play. What we're seeing is Todt playing up behind Koenig and Dalgard playing off to the left. So it's a good-looking shape to the Energy attack. Let's see if the team can just start to get the ball down on the ground and show a little bit more composure. But important thing, again, I'm going to say it again because Jimmy Nielsen has been saying it all week to the players. Keep it tight these early stages. Keep it compact. Keep it intense.
Foul called on St. Louis. It'll be an OKC Energy free kick on the left side. Right now, 0-0 at the 5-6 minute of play in Oklahoma City. Let's see who will take it. They'll probably send a long ball up for the front runners. And here it is. Nobody up there. It goes straight into the hands of Mark Pays. He must have some. He can pause. He can one-hand that ball without a problem. So he's got big mitts. Sends it past the midfield stripe. Ball still in the air after 3-4 touches, and they're playing a little bit of ping pong there. Now finally they get the ball on the ground. On the left side, OKC Energy, one touch. Looking for some openings. Bring it back around. Rejected, cleared by St. Louis FC. Now another foul called. It'll be OKC ball just past the midfield stripe.
Let's see if we can get some better delivery into the box. So far, 2 or 3 balls played into the penalty area haven't been as accurate as Energy would want to see. And Todt there getting involved.
Well, he had a nice turn on the ball, but he was fouled as he brought it down. Left footer will take it. Looks to be Kalen Ryden. It's a bit high. Drops in the penalty area, headed out by St. Louis FC. brought under control, stolen by Oklahoma City Energy. And now trying to keep St. Louis bottled up, forcing them to make a mistake. St. Louis chooses to send it forward. Long pass. Cyprien clears it now. Coming out the right side is OKC Energy. Toth comes back with his back to goal. Now they get a little bit of rhythm. Here comes Oklahoma City Energy. Energy FC now finds a space on the left side, and they're in the penalty box. A shot, a goal, goal, goal! Goal! OKC Energy. So in the 8th minute, they're already up 1-0.
This is exactly the start that Jimmy Nielsen wanted for his team, and what fantastic work there from Koenig, keeping hold of the ball and making sure he didn't rush into it, didn't rush into the shot, and then setting things up perfectly. If you look here, well-timed run, holds the ball up, intelligent turn, and that's a great pass out to the left, and a very, very cool finish indeed.
Not sure, but it looks like the goal might have been scored by actually Coy Kraft, the newcomer.
What a debut. What a debut. What a debut.
10 minutes, and he's already got a goal.
18 years old, young U.S. international, and took that goal with great confidence. But really a lot of credit has to go to Koenig for the way he kept his cool there and brought Kraft into that goal-scoring position.
So Kraft comes in from Dallas, and he scores.
Fantastic.
It makes a difference right away.
Fantastic. No, he could turn out to be a really, really important signing for the team. You know, you get these young players in from clubs like FC Dallas in Major League Soccer. They're not ready yet to be playing at that level, but they have talent, and there's no doubt at all, Coy Kraft, you don't play for the United States under-18 national team if you aren't one of the best young midfielders in the country. And that's what Energy have now. They have one of the best young midfielders in this country playing in the team, and we've just seen him score on his debut. So fantastic.
Energy have poise, they have touch on the ball, and they have a goal, because I think Koenig did quite a bit on that, because he's normally considered the goal scorer, but he slowed it up. He saw the opening on the left side where Kraft came in. He dribbled into the penalty area, and he saw the spot where he could take the shot and score. Here comes the throw-in from the left side again for OKC Energy. Another shot. Blocked this time by St. Louis FC.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Danny Koenig is because he scored so many goals, he gets typecast as just a goal scorer. But as we saw there, there's plenty more to his game. In fact, if you're talking about Danish footballers, I don't know.
He's probably got some good dance moves, too.
He looks pretty sharp. He looks pretty sharp.
There's a lot more to his game, as I was going off of that one. But you're right. He's got a lot more to his game than just putting in the back of the net. He's a big boy, but he's got vision. And he made it. He made that part of his game a central part of the first goal for OKC Energy.
The way he shielded the ball as well, you know, he had 3 defenders behind him. Did very well indeed.
Cyprien plays it up, stolen then off the feet of number 12. And here comes a counter. Daniel Gonzalez lost the ball. Counterattack for St. Louis FC. Ball slotted into the area by Jamil Hardware, the Jamaican, and then straight into the hands of Cochran.
But how pleased is Jimmy Nielsen going to be about this? All week, as we were saying, he's just been telling the team the same thing. Repetition, repetition. Make a good start to this game. And what happens? Here we are.
There's an issue with the ball, so we'll get another one.
Here we are, 12th minute into the game. They're 1-0 up against a team they couldn't score against in, what was it, 280 minutes?
228.
228 minutes last season, couldn't score. Here we are in the 12th minute, 1-0 up. Fantastic start for Energy this.
So right now is again a restart from the referee. And it's Cochran telling his teammates, get upfield, I will try and, if the wind is a thing, you don't want to leave the ball sitting up in a real high clearance such as this, because it gives the defenders more time to get underneath it.
Yeah.
However, headed out by St. Louis FC, and it'll be a throw-in for OKC Energy.
Oh, news would have to change the ball so early in a game like that. I mean, you wonder maybe if it was not inflated or something? I mean, is this a deflate gate situation?
There you go.
No, I mean, all kinds of things can happen. Also, when you do have a little bit of wind involved, sometimes you do need to adjust the pressure in the football to try and help.
Here comes St. Louis with an attack coming at the defense now. It's 3-on-6. St. Louis holds on to the ball. They come around the corner, around the outside. Can they get around the defender? And it's a cross coming in as Kalen Ryden was defending, but it was over the crossbar. It'll be a goal kick for Energy FC. Speaking of Energy FC, join Energy FC for their next home match on April 23rd as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. at historic Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com. Cochran with the goal kick. Just on the left sideline, seems to have gone off the head, according to the referee, of a St. Louis FC defender, so it'll be Energy FC throw-in. Usually want to take these throw-ins forward, but it's going to be tough to find space in a field that's a bit narrow. So here, Martinez plays it. Here's a cross into the area, and Koenig brings it down. Headed back, forward, defended by St. Louis. Some good, here come, Martinez could have a chance here. Looking for a diagonal run from Gonzalez, sorry. It'll be a goal kick for St. Louis.
You know, we haven't really seen too much of St. Louis in the midfield at all. I mean, that's one thing that I think Energy will be really pleased with the way they started this game. They're winning those 50-50 balls. They're winning those loose balls in the center of the park. And that's really, so far, been the key to this game, is that Energy are being able to dictate things, which is exactly what you want, especially in this opening stages.
You saw Gonzalez in the close-up on your screen. Here comes a ball that could be a foot race right here, but St. Louis gets it and restarts the counterattack. Booty with the ball. In the center, this is Sam Fink. Switches it nicely. Now on the far side, dribbling right now that was good ball in the area, shot on goal, but Cyprian Hedrick gets in the middle of it and then cleared it, but they got some space to hit the penalty area.
First time we've really seen any sort of creative danger from St. Louis here. That was a lovely ball played in there.
Jameel Hardware gets the shot. He gets the rebound off his shot, but cannot control it. Now Energy FC ball, some space ahead of him.
That's good. That's good.
Kraft slowing it down a little bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
Gonzalez plays it wide, cutting inside. This could be an opportunity here. Dribbles past one, past two, bit of a stumble, loses the ball. And here comes St. Louis. Oof. Gonna try that pass again. Long ball. It will be no problem for Cochran. That's one of the advantages. If you have a goalkeeper that can read the game, he can cut off angles in his field that's not so wide because he doesn't have to go out that far to go get the ball.
Exactly. I mean, we see it with the world champions, Germany, Manuel Neuer. No one better in the game at doing that than him, and it makes such a difference for the back four. You know, they know in terms of where they can position themselves, how far they can push up when they know they have effectively a sweeper behind them.
Yeah. And who hopefully is good with his feet.
Well, that helps.
Now, when you were talking with Jimmy Nielsen, is he the actual goalkeeper coach too?
No, he's not. He has a goalkeeper coach. I asked him about that. Well, of course, he does give advice to his goalkeepers.
He's allowed to give an opinion, I hope.
Yeah, I don't think Jimmy's a guy who keeps his opinions back too often, but he does have a goalkeeper coach who does that work. It's too much really for one guy to have to, take care of the whole session and then do the special sessions with the keepers as well.
Duty will take the free kick for St. Louis. Takes 3 runs at it, finally hits it into the penalty area. Nobody there, into the hands of Cochran. So It'll be Energy FC coming now. Cochran taking his sweet time as we are in the 18th minute of play. The score, Energy FC 1, St. Louis FC 0. Headed forward by St. Louis, back into the penalty area. Be careful with those funky bounces, but Cochran's got control of it.
It did bounce a little bit high, that one there, didn't it? You know, I mean, it was, I wouldn't say he misjudged it, but it certainly stretched his arms a little bit more than you would expect.
This clearance takes a bit of a swirl, and it'll be St. Louis ball. I think Jimmy will want to have a chat with him about how to clear that ball. I think he'll get more if he throws it out than if he just kicks it.
Well, throw-in's an option if you've got your fullbacks who are going to give you push up and give you that opportunity. The other thing is to kick with a much lower trajectory. You know, those kicks that have struggled have gone high, and the wind's pushing them back, and we see the opposite happening the other way. It's not going to be a problem in the second half with the wind behind him, of course. But you don't really want to be giving away possession like that. So he needs to keep a lower trajectory, maybe target looking more for a pass into the midfield rather than for going for distance.
Musa plays it to his back four as they move it out to right for St. Louis FC. Of course, St. Louis has always been a soccer, football hotbed of the United States. From the German migration, and of course the Gateway City has had plenty of national team matches there, and plenty of places such as Florissant and others.
Of course, that great United States team in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keogh and
I think there
Barr.
was like 9 of that World Cup team came from St. Louis.
I don't know how many, but certainly quite a few. Barr, Keogh, Gagins. Was he from St. Louis too? No. Pennsylvania? Joe Gagins scoring the goal that knocked out, that beat England 1-0 in that match. And of course, any Englishman still traumatized by that. Of course, one of the great World Cup upsets in the history of the sport. There you see the man. He was on the USL Team of the Week, Vince Ciccarelli. As he tries to turn on, here comes a shot from St. Louis. It goes way wide. Cochran unconcerned with it, or
Yeah, it was a wild shot, wasn't it, from Jamil Hardware? But, you know, he's in that position. The ball's falling. Why not have a go? Didn't really connect with it properly. But that's just a little reminder to the Energy defense that they do need to be alert, not only with Ciccarelli, but Hardware pushing up behind him. They're playing with one big man up front and hoping that Hardware can get onto those second balls, and that's exactly what he did there. The second wave, if you like, when the ball comes loose.
Well, if you have a reminder to the Energy defense, let's remind you that to join Energy FC for their next home game on April 23rd, as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. at historic Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com. St. Louis plays the ball around the back. There's a diagonal ball, not bad for Duty. Duty gets around the defender. Now his own attacker tackles him as they have a bit of a not a misunderstanding, just a bit of a snafu there. As it looked to be Chad Bend, the man from Wales who sort of lost his footing and did the defensive work for Energy FC.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a comical situation there. He lost his footing and he ends up on the deck and his teammates trying to go around him, but just starting to put things together a little bit, St. Louis in the final third.
We'll put that one on the highlight reel. Here comes the first corner for St. Louis as Cochran gets his defenders in position. Here comes a clearance attempt, and it's an own goal from Energy FC in the 22nd minute of play, and St. Louis ties it.
Ciccarelli's claiming that one. We'll have to have a look at the replay to see who got the final touch, but it's Vince Ciccarelli who causing all the problems.
Here we see the space right here, and it did go off the chest of Ciccarelli as we see basically an attempted clearance from Cody Andrews, and which went awry and gave Ciccarelli the chance to come in the back post well, was it just putting his chest on the ball and heading a goal?
Yeah, and Andrews will be a little bit disappointed there. You know, he's gone into a position there where he's tried to clear it with his foot. In that situation,
Here comes St. Louis again. Simon. This time.
in that situation where you're so close to the goal line and the ball coming across, you get your body in the way. Don't try and clear it with your foot. He tried to hook it away, couldn't get his body around it, and that allowed Ciccarelli to bundle the ball in.
Well, I'm sure Jimmy Nielsen's going to have a chat with him about that, because that's not just a technical mistake, that's a tactical mistake. Because if you don't get the ball, you have basically a dangerous play which could be called into a penalty. And if you miss the ball, then you give the other team the ball inside the 6-yard box. So, all right. So it's 1-1 right now between Energy FC and St. Louis FC. And we have St. Louis now taking the ball into the Energy FC half of the field and not letting them come out in the last 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a good spell of pressure from St. Louis, and they've got their reward for it. The important thing now for Energy is to stay compact, not lose their head, not let that goal affect them. They made a good start to the game with that early goal. Yes, they've conceded after 23 minutes, but on level terms, it's a case of keeping it together now and just getting back that little bit of confidence that they will have been jolted by that goal. Unfortunate defensive error, really, but one they can bounce back from. It's a good game, this, though. It's a good game. It's even contest, 1-1. Both sides showing some life in attack. Combative play in midfield. Good contest, this.
Musa with the throw-in for St. Louis into the penalty box, an attempted header from Ciccarelli. Then it goes off the post. Cochran picks it up, and there's some danger and action in front of the Energy FC.
Similar situation again. Here's the long throw. It's a really good long throw as well. Ciccarelli doesn't make the header, and again the defender there,
Kalen Ryden, is not having
a little bit hesitant.
He didn't read the play properly.
A little bit hesitant, but he'll get through it. He'll get through it. A couple of shaky moments there for him, but
playing it back to the keeper is number 4. That was Cochran. Now St. Louis again with the ball. This to be Maher playing it wide on the flank. Lifting the ball now, this one to Duty. Duty chests it down.
Starting to move the ball about very well, though, now, St. Louis, aren't they? You can see the confidence that goal has given them. It's really important that Energy just weather this next 5 or 10 minutes and stay on level terms.
Coy Kraft, of course, trying to settle it along with Hedrick in the back of Energy FC.
That was
There's
a
foul
nasty
call, but
challenge there.
you can sense the wind coming across the plains.
I think that's Delgado who's gone down there.
It's a foul on the St. Louis player, I think.
Is that a yellow card?
I don't think so.
No. Looked like studs up a little bit there.
Of course, if anybody knows about injuries, it's Jimmy Nielsen who can take the pain while playing. I think he was the goalkeeper when Sporting Kansas City won the MLS title in 2012, was it?
2013, I think it was, yeah, against Real Salt Lake, where he played the whole game plus extra time with broken ribs. Didn't tell anyone either.
Well,
Didn't tell anyone.
The cold, of course, sort of dulls the pain.
Oh, it was bitterly cold that day. I was at that game, and it was absolutely freezing. You know, Kansas City, when that wind comes sweeping in off the plains, it was bitterly cold. I don't think I've ever been as cold at a football match.
The grapes of wrath and the pain, grapes of pain, because
I don't think he would have felt those ribs.
Yeah. There we have now the second corner kick for St. Louis right now, and they keep pushing the game into the Energy FC half of the field, and this could generate another mistake. You have to be careful. 1-1 in the 28th minute. Here comes a corner kick to the far post, headed by Ciccarelli. Up into the air, Cochran gets his hands on the ball. And we take a moment right now as they try to launch the counterattack. He decides not to because he's going to slow things up, but he also gives St. Louis a chance to get back in defense. So, Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all 3 Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are Northwest 23rd and Meridian, Northwest 50th and Meridian, and off of Northwest 5th and I-35 and more. Next home match is Saturday, April 23rd. Here comes a cross in the area. Watch out as Cochran gets it under control for Energy FC. And of course, Cochran, last match was Cody Lorendi in goal for Energy FC, and the Floridian is not starting in this match as Jimmy Nielsen makes a change.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a tactical change or not. I know Jimmy was sure that Cody would bounce back from that little mistake he had last week against Colorado Springs, 2 weeks ago, sorry. So, I'm imagining there must have been an injury involved here or some other problem. But, the important thing is Carl Cochran's come in and has looked very composed and confident, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Although he is having some issues getting the ball out of the back, but I'm sure he'll sort it out in the second half. Here comes an attempt at a shot, and it goes over everything for Energy FC, and it'll be St. Louis with a goal kick. We are in the 30th minute of play, bringing you the action here from historic Taft Stadium. I'm Kayvon Antonio Hidari along with Simon Evans.
Yeah, Sebastian Dalgard there showing again his ability to just lose his man, create a little bit of space for a shot, do something a little bit different. And he's done that 2 or 3 times in this opening half hour, and disappointing finish, optimistic shot from that distance. But it is encouraging that he's managing to find the space for those kind of opportunities.
Well, if you don't shoot, you can't score. So, that's the first thing. Then you basically tune it in a little bit better, get it on goal, and things happen. But at least he's taking the risks and taking the opportunities will come. Here comes and here comes Energy FC with a midfield run into the heart of the defense, but it was number 4, Cochran, A.J. Cochran, clearing the danger with a slide. But let's see whether no, it wasn't Cochran, but somebody's down on the ground. Here comes on the flank, a cross into the area on the far post, and it was number 11, I think it was number 7, Peter Toth, waiting on the flank, but St. Louis FC prefers to clear it and give up a corner kick.
First corner of the game for Energy FC. Let's see if they can find their preferred target in the penalty area at these set pieces, which is, of course, Danny Koenig, the Danish striker.
It looked to be Charles Rankin, who was hurt for St. Louis.
I think he's going to be all right. Hobbling his way back in there a little bit.
Toth, the Hungarian, going to take the corner kick. Let's see who's in the middle. It's certainly going to be Koenig and Dalgard, and a couple of midfielders waiting, hovering there on the far side. And they're going to try and put somebody in front of the keeper to distract and obstruct him, forcing him into a mistake.
Referee not happy with some of this pushing in there. We always see it. Let's see Toth's delivery.
Toth with the right footer as it floats. And there's a whistle there. Perhaps a foul called. And it'll be St. Louis ball.
I'm interested to see what he blew there. The whistle definitely went before the header went into the net. It was a good corner from Peter Toth. And absolutely no doubt Energy will take some encouragement from that situation, but I'm not sure what the foul was there. I didn't see anything.
Here comes Energy FC again with the ball in the attacking half. St. Louis, though, and Musa plays it to his defender, Cochran.
In fairness to the referee, did whistle very early there. So clearly saw something, an infringement, made his call nice and early. So hard to really call that a disallowed goal, but certainly an encouraging moment.
St. Louis moving, playing it wide on the flank. This looks like Caitlin Ryden heading it out to defend his Dalgard. Now losing the ball, St. Louis, as we get through a scrappy strip here. Duty, Cochran, Musa comes back into the back four. Seems like all the balls have to go through Musa, but now Musa's playing libero, which is a strange switch in positions, but he was in front of the back four, now he's behind the back four. Cochran. Duty on the flank with the left foot, floats it in the area. Cipian Hedrick heads it out, and here comes Energy FC. Nice turn from Gonzalez, number 12. Dispossessed is Peter Toth, and here comes St. Louis. Duty gets around. This could be danger for Energy FC. However, Cochran clears it out as his defender plays it back to him, but it's now a throw-in for St. Louis.
One thing that Jimmy's going to have to address at halftime is the way Duty's coming forward. The left back attacking like the modern left backs and right backs do these days, getting forward, but no one's really tracking him. You know, whether that needs to be Peter Toto or somebody needs to be picking him up and going with him, because he's moving with absolute liberty into the Energy final third and can whip in those dangerous crosses. So they've got to start cutting off that supply route.
So 35th minute of play. Energy FC 1, St. Louis FC 1. It's a tie match here. And we had an early goal for Energy FC from Kraft, who just came in last night from Dallas, and he got his first goal for this team. And then we had the tie in the 22nd minute from Ciccarelli.
Big Vince. We said he was the danger man, and he's proven to be exactly that. But St. Louis ended this half very confidently, moving the ball well in midfield.
Here comes ball swung in the area. Goal, goal, goal for St. Louis. Another mistake from the back four of Energy FC. And I haven't gotten a good look at who scored, but it's St. Louis 2, well, Energy FC 1 and St. Louis 2. I think it's Duty swinging that left-footed ball in.
Did he get a touch on it there? Did he get a touch on it? It was a dangerous ball whipped in, and nobody was able to take control of it. And Duty, who we were just talking about how he's moving into that last third with great liberty, got the final touch, raised his arm in celebration, claiming that goal. That's a big blow for Energy.
Well, Caitlin Ryden also was on that near post. Of course, he plays on the left side. He somehow crossed over, and he didn't get that ball out of danger. And Cochran became a little bit too confident in his defense, and next thing you know, he's picking the ball up out of the net. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can pinpoint one player on that one, but that was, hesitant defending again. Very good ball in. Those are difficult balls to deal with. But those are the kind of things that I'm sure Jimmy Nielsen will expect his back four to be able to handle. And they have looked very vulnerable to those balls put across the face of the goal.
Well, the wind is also a factor, blowing through Oklahoma City tonight at maybe 15 to 25 miles an hour. And that when you put that ball in the air, it starts swirling. Then anything can happen, but that's why your defense needs to be more disciplined in the marking, especially if you decide, okay, who's covering near post, who's covering far post, when those balls come in and the attackers are sliding in on diagonal runs.
Well, the thing both those goals have in common is nobody took the responsibility of saying, I'm going to sort this one out. You can line up however which way you want, but when a ball comes into the penalty area like that, you want one of your defenders to take the responsibility and say, I'm going to get rid of that thing. And nobody did. Nobody did, and they've looked very vulnerable at the back there, and something that they'll need to work on in the future. But this game wide open, 2-1. Absolutely by no means a disaster. Energy.
Here comes Energy FC on a potential counter attack. Sorry, Simon, but Here now, St. Louis back with the ball, playing it wide, and again another left-footed pass into the penalty area, into the danger area, but Ciprian Hedrick gets it under control and now is getting it out of the back. Now the green team is trying to get control of the ball, and it's Daniel Gonzalez turning it and getting.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Credit the second
St. Louis ball.
Number 17, Jacob Bashu.
Referee's not happy with something here. Some dissent, I think, perhaps.
FC, number 17, Jacob Bashu in the 36th minute.
So they credit the ball, the second goal for St. Louis to Jacob Bashu, number 17.
Which suggesting perhaps that Duty didn't get the touch on it. It was Bashu who swung that ball in from the right very dangerously. Another yellow card here. Hard to tell what that booking was about. So yeah, so maybe a little bit naughty there from Patrick Duty, running away, celebrating with his arms in the air. They've given the goal to Bashu.
He might be trying to get that goal bonus in his contract.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
So now St. Louis, of course, Energy FC started to have the first 10 minutes of action perhaps in the goal, but now the last 25 has been mostly St. Louis FC.
The referee has issued a yellow caution card to Energy FC's number 12, Daniel Gonzalez, in the 30.
So the yellow card to Gonzalez, number 12 for Energy FC, and things have not been going well in this first half. In the last 30 minutes for Energy FC, we had 228 minutes in matches with no goals between these two teams. Now we have 3 in the first 35 minutes of the match.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how that works, isn't it? You know, but and it's also, you know, we talked so much at the start of the game about how Energy needed to keep things tight for that first 20 minutes, not concede an early goal as they've done several times in pre-season and did last week against Colorado Springs. They don't do that. They get through the first 20 minutes, they're 1-0 up, and then they concede 2 goals. So that's the way it goes in football. You really can't plan these things out.
Well, this as a team is in a bit of a funk in these last 35 minutes, of course. Well, Bob Funk and Tim McLaughlin and Jimmy Nielsen, of course, may want to have something to say, but team will probably get the chance to have a halftime chat to turn it around.
Also, you know, we've talked about the wind in this game. It's not just the goalkeeper's clearance. We've seen some of the defensive clearances like that one there, floating back, holding up, and so on. It's a lot easier to play with the wind at your back, and the Energy are going to have that advantage in the second half, and it is going to be an advantage. St. Louis have used it well, whipping in those balls. Let's not forget, all those balls they're whipping into the penalty area, got the wind behind them.
Coy Kraft cuts in the middle as Michael Thomas gave him the ball. Here comes Thomas with a cross, headed out by St. Louis FC. And we take a moment to say that Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all 3 Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are Northwest 23rd in Meridian, Northwest 50th in Meridian, watch out here, and Northwest and off of Northwest 5th and I-35 in Moore. Next home match is Saturday, April 23rd, and I know that Supermercado Morelos, they have those Morelos ice cream pallets. They're specialized in making different flavors and from the region of Morelos, and I know they have them there in all the exotic and all the normal flavors. Now, ball floated in the area by Energy FC. Nobody goes to get it, and no problem at all for Mark Pays, the goalkeeper. Floated out of the area, long ball now at the feet of Chad Bond, plays it wide, and again it's Duty up on the flank. In the attacking area, Cochran, Musa. They could intercept one of those balls coming square across the back four. Maybe something could happen. Ball in the area, high ball. Coming out to get it is a keeper for Energy FC, Carl Cochran. Rolls it out. Bit of a change in tactics now. Here comes Energy FC with Daniel Gonzalez. Gets taken down. No foul called. Here's an attack for St. Louis. All alone in the area, but he's offside.
Just went too early there. I think it's Ciccarelli made his move, and I think just a fraction too soon he made that run. He made the right run. He got the right delivery of the ball, but I think he's just gone too early, yeah.
Still, there's too many open spaces in the back of Energy FC's defense. And this time, of course, he was offside, but we've seen some problems there in the back four marking.
Certainly have. That's been really the difference between the two teams so far in this game, has been that defending. A couple of slip-ups at the back from Energy have cost them dearly.
Don't forget, is Energy FC here on the counterattack could make something happen, but it's 4 on against 8, and now two more attackers in the green join the attack. Here comes some space. Nothing happened for Danny Koenig here. Attempted wall pass. We get a chance right now to tell you that to join Energy FC for their next home match on April 23rd as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. There you see the graphic at historic Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com. So we're going to come close. We got 1 minute in regulation of the first half. And Energy FC trying to surmount a 2-1 deficit against St. Louis, the visiting team. But they will have the wind going with them in the second half. So maybe they can float some of those high balls and trouble the keeper Pays for St. Louis in the second half. So
either way, they'll want to deliver some better service to Danny Koenig. He hasn't really had enough of the ball at his feet. We saw with that opening goal, that fantastic start from Energy, that Danny Koenig is so effective with the ball at his feet.
Well, I used to hate playing under wind like this, but you got to play in all kinds of conditions. So it's part of the game. Here comes Hedrick chasing the ball on the flank, loses it, and here comes St. Louis. Watch out, this could be danger. Cleared out by the defense. But St. Louis still with the ball.
Again, there's no way Ciccarelli should have been allowed to get that ball in that corner there.
Ambersley plays it back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official on the sideline is indicating
Now we're into
into
injury time.
In the first half, 2 minutes.
Headed, goes through the legs of Biskov. And now St. Louis with the ball again.
It's about just keeping to the simple things at the back sometimes, you know, and trying to let the ball roll out of play there. Sometimes it's really about just clearing your lines. 2
minutes added on by the referee. And it'll be a throw-in for St. Louis, and it's Musa again. He's got that long throw-in, which caused problems on the goal. And he's going to do it again. Into the penalty area. A hesitation from Cochran. It goes off the crossbar. Still St. Louis ball, and finally in the hands of the goalkeeper, Carl Cochran.
Well, a bit of a let-off there for Energy FC as yet again a ball into the penalty area causing confusion. It doesn't help when you have a new goalkeeper in a team. It takes time for him to get an understanding, but really got to improve that side of the game.
Here comes Energy FC on the flank. A shot from Koenig. Saved by Pays, and it's danger. Here comes the action. Played Frank on the left side. Things are happening for the green team. Here comes Koenig chasing that ball. The cross didn't quite get to him, but he knows he's got to try and get the rebound.
Just shows again how dangerous Danny Koenig is. 21 goals last season, and he gets half a sniff of a chance, and he finds the target there and could easily have been an equalizer.
That's got to be a good sign for the second half for Energy FC. Absolutely. As the referee blows his whistle, and the halftime score here, historic Taft Stadium, is Energy FC 1, St. Louis FC 2. So, We'll be back with the second half and some of the halftime features. Don't go away because we have some interesting ones, and we'll come back with the highlights after this break.
We are with Coach, and Coach, you told me all week, come out strong, score that first goal. You did it. That's a good thing. Yeah, but we got to obviously continue, you know.
There are moments that define us, that shape our character, that make us who we are. But what if there were no moments for the children of Oklahoma City? Our kids lack the most basic equipment, a field. It's our time to enable our children to create their own defining moment, to provide an empowered coach, safe equipment, and a field that they can call home.
Hey everyone, it's time to cross Go to Bank off your errand list for good. Did you know you can monitor account balances, transfer money, deposit checks, pay bills, and more any time of day from anywhere in the world? It's possible with mobile banking from First Fidelity Bank. It's another way FFB gives you personal local bank service with big bank products. Visit ffb.com/mobile and learn more today.
Welcome back to halftime in our match between Energy FC and St. Louis FC. And we have, of course, a lot of goals today, Simon. They had no goals, but today we have 2 for St. Louis in the first half and some defensive mending and adjustments to be made for Oklahoma, for Energy FC. But we also have Oklahoma in Oklahoma City. Energy FC has been quite active on and off the field.
Our first professional soccer player. Her name is Sydney Barnes. Let's give Sydney a round of applause.
Aw, spring. Time for the draft. No Kuipers or booing Jets fans here. It's all smiles at the second annual Oklahoma City Energy Sidekicks Draft.
Our next signing for 2016 is Madison Dillbank. Madison, you here? Come on up, sweetheart. Come on up. Come and meet Daniel. You got a jersey, look. You want to hold it?
The Sidekicks, well, it's a program for the Energy players to give back to the community, but also connect with the youth of Oklahoma City. And what better way to connect than to sign lucky youngsters to a contract? For more than 80 applicants, 18 youngsters were selected for the draft, each one paired with a player. They get their official jersey and sign, with their guy in green, a one-year contract with the team.
They enjoy it a lot, but it also makes us feel great inside, being able to give back to these kids who go through so much in their life, and it's a great opportunity for us.
General Manager Jason Hawkins, always busy signing new talent for the Energy. Now he's got a lot more work.
I really wouldn't call this work. I mean, we get all the joy out of it. It's just great seeing the faces, let you know how privileged you are, how many gifts in life you have. It's literally is probably one of my favorite days of the whole year.
Oh, awesome. One of the best nights of my life. Well, I'm in a great atmosphere. I'm speechless really at the moment.
For the players, it's a treat, a chance to really connect with a young fan.
Yeah, we develop a relationship with the kids and the families, and you stay in touch with them, keep up to date with what they're doing. They keep up to date with what you're doing. They're always asking, how the team's looking, and
you know, they're about it, and it makes it fun because we can be a part of their lives as well.
For the kiddos, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. They will be with their players at different sponsored events during the season and be able to attend games to root on their favorite guy in green.
And what is your name?
I am Tatum.
What's your nickname?
Or Tater, whichever one.
Tater. And how old are you?
And I'm 14 years old. I'm going to be 15 this Saturday.
Oh, Saturday's our game too, and you'll be there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do in the Special Olympics?
I just did bocce last Saturday, and I got second place 2 times.
Second place 2 times.
One in the singles, one in the doubles.
So you're pretty good at bocce?
Yeah.
And who is your favorite soccer player?
Oh, Jordan Rideout.
There you go.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our athletes. I mean, how many people do you know that have a one-on-one relationship with a professional athlete that they're going to spend time with throughout the season, going to the games, cheering with them, coming to social events like this and having a good time? It's just a unique experience that most people don't have.
So it looks like another successful draft for the Sidekicks. Great energy and, of course, a lot of smiles on the kids' faces. If you want more information on the Sidekick program, you can, of course, visit the website energyfc.com, maybe register to be a Sidekick for next season. From Soccer City in Northwest OKC, I'm Brent Skarkey for Energy FC TV.
Nice story from Brent Skarkey. I wonder if Kevin Durant signed a contract like that when he came to Oklahoma City, but that's a nice story with the kids. Here we have the halftime stats, Simon.
Yeah, and it tells the story of the half, really. 8 shots on goal from St. Louis FC. They did create more chances, just 5 for Energy. And we look at overall, I think it was pretty tight in midfield. Energy getting active in those central areas, but really creating more chances, it was St. Louis.
Well, the first half was a story of 2 stories. The first 7 minutes, Energy FC getting the goal, and then St. Louis then slowly turning the tables on the home team. 2 goals to 1. Well, St. Louis, the visiting team, leading right now in Oklahoma City. Of course, there you see the downtown area. And we'll go to the highlights. Let's see if we can see the goals, Simon. And
yeah, it was all about a positive start. That was what Jimmy Nielsen's message was, and we got that from Energy FC tonight. Very much in the early stages, Energy were the ones dominating in midfield, and there we see Koenig with that lovely bit of work, finding the debut boy, Koycraft.
We'd seen him on the right side first, then he moves to the left side and scores that first goal.
But then sloppy work at the back there. It's not really what Cody Andrews should have been doing there. Got himself into all kinds of a strange position. Again, hesitancy. Close to goal.
These throw-ins are a nightmare for the defense and the keeper.
They are, and there the ball comes across, and little dispute over who put that ball over the line. Patrick Doody thought it was him, but the goal was given to Jacob Bachou. And frustration really in the second part of the half, as Energy were really unable to build upon what was a very good start. Woodwork again St. Louis going close. And really, you want to see, if you're Jimmy Nielsen, you want to see the team there tighten up at the back. That's got to be his message.
Yeah, those set pieces giving the Energy FC defense nightmares, but now, of course, we also have some nice community stuff that will put a smile on everybody's face in Oklahoma City. So let's go see what the team is doing in the community.
At the games, the Oklahoma City Energy are everywhere. All the excitement at the tailgate. And on the pitch, the saves, the goals. But off the field, the Energy have OKC covered as well. The guys in green, seemingly everywhere, to lend a helping hand and to help grow soccer in the Sooner State. Take last week, for example, the Energy blanketing the community in green. It all started on Wednesday. One of the most tangible examples of the Oklahoma City Energy being hands-on with the community right here at Oak Grove Apartments, South Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City Energy teaming up with Mathis Brothers and the YMCA to give a good night rest to those who really could use it. Part of the Sleep for Success campaign, Energy staff and players there to help out with deliveries, but also give a few pointers.
Yeah, a program like this, Sleep for Success, is obviously, it's vital not only for athletics, but just for life in general.
Then on Thursday, a sea of green washes into San Marcos Restaurant to headline at the OKC Hispanic Chamber of Commerce event. Players, coaches, and executives showing their respect and admiration for the Latin community in the metro. On Saturday, the Energy helping spread the word of healthy living at the Oklahoma City Fox CW Health Fair. Then growing the game in Mustang. The Energy gang there for the Sports House futsal event, including the College Futsal Invitational. Then on Sunday, the Energy put a little kick into two great events. First in the Paseo Arts District, Energy FC there for Open Streets OKC, a day-long celebration of wellness, health, culture, and I guess canines. The cornhole was a big hit. Then a little up the street on Western, the Green Army out in full force at the St. Baldrick's festivities. The Energy there with volunteers and organizers to try to kick cancer. Baldrick's living up to its name.
It's kind of like a walkathon. Instead of walking, you shave your head, and you ask your friends, your coworkers, just anybody, Facebook friends, to donate money for children's cancer research.
So whether it's a good night's sleep, Hispanic culture, living healthier, or shaving your head for cancer awareness, the Oklahoma City Energy definitely involved in the community and here for the city itself. For Energy FC TV, I'm Brent Skarkey.
Well, there we have it. The Green Army taking a look. We have, of course, swirling about 15 knot winds. If I was windsurfing, that'd be nice, but not for soccer, not for football tonight. Let's see how each team deals with the weather in the second half, because we're going to come back with more action after this.
Everyone, it's time to cross Go to Bank off your errand list for good. Did you know you can monitor account balances, transfer money, deposit checks, pay bills, and more any time of day from anywhere in the world? It's possible with mobile banking from First Fidelity Bank. It's another way FFB gives you personal local bank service with big bank products. Visit ffb.com/mobile and learn more today.
There are moments that define us, that shape our character, that make us who we are. But what if there were no moments for the children of Oklahoma City? Our kids lack the most basic equipment, a field. It's our time to enable our children to create their own defining moment, to provide an empowered coach, safe equipment, in a field that they can call home.
We're back at historic Taft Stadium in Oklahoma City as we take a look at the halftime score. Energy FC, the home team, trailing St. Louis FC, the visiting team, 2-1. Of course, the fleur-de-lis coming in from St. Louis right now is, well, doing a little bit better than the Labor Omnia Vincit of Energy FC. Of course, the team crests reflect that right now as you see them on the screen. We come back. Jimmy Nielsen probably had something to say to his team, and maybe he had a good chat with his fellow goalkeeper, Mr. Cochran.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be, encouraging Carl Cochran, who's had to come in unexpectedly, really, for this game. But I'm sure his biggest message will be to his defense to just get the ball clear, be more decisive, be less hesitant, and then to his midfield, get the ball to Koenig, get to his feet. A lot of discussions going on here with the referee, but
yeah, you see Yunus Marakshi, the Moroccan national, speaking with, I think it was Cody Andrews, about something. But let's see if they understand each other. Of course, I'm not quite sure what the yellow card to number 12, Daniel Gonzalez, was about. But the team, of course, now going with the wind. And if, the guys at Tinker AFB at the Air Force Base probably are watching the wind as much as the goalkeepers and the players should right now. But I think this might be a good opportunity to send a high ball to Koenig and maybe get Dalgard on a quick run, sort of clear it out of the back and maybe catch St. Louis as surprise. Of course, the two teams had 228 minutes in preseason games, in the last official games, but now they scored 3 in the first half, and we may see more action again in the second half. St. Louis in the white, Energy FC, as usual, in the green. Of course, this has been, if you're Oklahoman, you probably kept an eye on Merle Haggard, the death of the singer. But these two teams are right now in the back of the standings in the USL, but they have less games than the teams at the front. They have right now, Energy FC has 1 point from a tie, and St. Louis has 1 win, 2 losses, and no ties. As we await Marakshi checking the balls, of course, this one seems to be fine. And what would you do if you were Jimmy Nielsen? What would you recommend to his team?
Well, you got the wind behind you in this half. You can be more positive. You can pump those balls in towards Koenig. But I think I'd want to see him really, obviously the defense has to tighten up, and then the quality of service to Koenig has got to improve. Try and see if they can win those second balls.
So we've got action right now in Oklahoma City, and we have St. Louis in the white going from left to right on your screens. Energy FC in the green going from right to left. Kayvon Antonio Haydari and Simon Evans bringing you the action of USL Soccer. Energy FC, long ball floated from left to right, and that seems to be the pattern of action, getting the ball on the left side and a left-footed cross-field pass to make some action happen on the attacking end.
Yeah, but you don't want to overdo that. Energy have some creative players there in midfield. I'd like to see Koycraft and Peter Tuck get the ball at their feet a little bit more, try and work it through. And although you've got that wind behind you and it can cause problems, as we saw in the first half, don't overdo it.
Energy FC coming out of the back. Cochran playing it in the middle. Watch out here as we get some pressure from St. Louis. Plays it out the right side. And, of course, you always want to come out the flanks when you're coming out of the back. Any mistake there is not in front of the goal, so the attackers don't take advantage of it. But, you want to play the ball on the ground when it's this windy also. Here comes a ball into the area, headed back to the keeper, and Pays gets it squarely in his chest and plays it out the back. St. Louis in the white. Slows things down. Looks to be Bashu. This one, Cochran floats it up. Winning the head ball is Energy FC.
You could see again the impact of the wind there, that clearance from St. Louis just holding up in the air. Those are things that should help Energy in this second half.
Kalen Ryan with the throw-in with his back to goal. Nice turn on the Dane, but he loses the ball. As he fine-tunes that turn, he may be able to create some danger for Energy FC. Give and go.
Foul.
So this could be, let's see who can launch the ball, because you could shoot straight at goal, and with the wind, that could do wonders.
Still a long way, I think, there, Kayvon, but you're right. With the wind behind you, it opens up possibilities.
Toth Here goes a Hungarian. What's the name of the team he played for in Hungary?
Zala Egerszeg.
I can pronounce Ferencváros, but I can't deal with that one. Okay, here comes Toth. Peter Toth. Will he float it or will he hammer it at goalward? Toth decides to float it in the penalty box all alone, but can't get his head on it. Is the Energy FC attacker. Looked to be Gonzalez, perhaps.
I think it was, yeah. And we see it, you know, I mean, we were critical of Energy's defenders, the way they dealt with balls into the box in that first half. But we see with that wind making things difficult straight away, St. Louis having the same kinds of problems. So, you know, maybe we shouldn't be too critical of the Energy defense. And we can also be optimistic that maybe...
It's like trying to head knuckleballs each time that ball goes up in the air.
Very difficult, very, very difficult.
Throw in for Energy FC on the far side of the field. They inch it inches forward. Okay, here comes a header into the middle of the field. If you put some pressure, you might be able to steal that ball. But nothing doing there as St. Louis still trying to get the ball out of the back. Captain now gives the ball to number 16. Who came in, Jake Bond. But ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be thrown for St. Louis. Throwing ball set forward, seeing what happens, and then get another throw-in given up by Energy FC, and each throw-in is closer and closer to goal. And you know now that probably Musa's going to come over and try to send it into the penalty area.
You would think so. Won't be quite as easy this half for him, though, without the wind behind him. But I've no problem with Energy's defense kicking the ball out of play there. Keep it simple. I'm sure that will have been something they'll have been told. Here is Musa now.
So you see the New Zealand international from Plymouth, England, throws it into the penalty box. Defense scrambling to get it out. And now Energy FC with a chance at the counterattack. Ooh, nice. Puts it through the legs of the defender, but goes down. It'll be a free kick for Energy FC, as you see Nielsen walking up saying, hey, come on, let's get going. Here, that was Biscoff with the restart.
Yeah, that was one of those tactical fouls from St. Louis. Just disrupt that momentum, just as Energy FC looked to be pushing forward and trying to create something. Just broke things up.
So as we bring the ball around the back, let's tell you that Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC, and here comes St. Louis. Watch out here. Keeper comes out to shorten the angle, and he's able to do so and provoke the attacker from shooting, provoke the attacker into shooting wide. Let's take a look at the replay.
Again.
Ciccarelli goes on the diagonal, two defenders on him, and he can't quite get it on target.
Did well, though, there. Showed a good burst of pace to get clear, but some sloppy defending there. You know,
let's get our bearings and tell you that Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all three Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are on Northwest 23rd and Meridian, Northwest 50th and Meridian, and off of Northwest 5th Street and I-35 in Moore. Next home match is Saturday, April 23rd. I may go to Morelos, get some of those paletas over there.
You've got ice cream on the mind, though, haven't you?
So Pays choosing to go to the far side of the field to restart this ball. Let's see what kind of goal kick he chooses to do. He drives it, and still it goes
out of
wide.
Play.
Yeah,
that's
wide
what we saw in the first half.
Yep.
You know, with Carl Cochran struggling. So, you know, as I say, gives us some perspective about what Energy had to deal with in that first half.
Well, this is one of the issues with the high school football stadiums. By putting the soccer field inside the track, you don't have much width to play with. Here comes a ball in the area, and it looks like Koenig shoots it, and Pays cuts off the angle, and it gives up a throw-in for Energy FC. Let's see if they try the long throw-in into the area. As moving up into the area,
Koenig is sharp in the area, isn't he? As soon as he gets a sniff, he comes alive. You know, We can go 5 minutes in this game without saying the name Koenig, and then suddenly he's a threat.
Well, the Dane certainly has plenty of experience at high level. So, in maybe a shot from this position, from right up the middle, would open up the defense for Energy FC.
You know who he reminds me of, Koenig?
Who?
I'll give you a clue. Italian, Juventus, AC Milan.
Vieri or Luca Toni? Oh, I mean, retired or current?
Retired. I'm thinking of somebody who just used to score goals and not do a lot else, but come alive inside that penalty area.
Pippo Inzaghi.
Exactly. Reminds me a lot of Pippo Inzaghi.
But he's a little bit thicker. Pippo was a little bit thinner. Here comes in the middle, but he's always in the right position. That's one of the key attributes you want in your center forward. Just a sniff of a goal and it's in.
Right place, right time. He's not that thick. I mean,
well, of course, we're watching
quite
television.
It's quite live.
When I used to live in Italy, I guess I'm perhaps comparing a live Pippo against a television Koenig. And Koenig, of course, you know, he's the man. He could be the king of this match if he scores another one because.
Oh, very good.
Nice play here from.
Oh.
No call.
It's gone down as though he was struck in the face there. He stayed down as well. I'm interested to see this one again. Oh, there's some afters here as well. Let's have a look at this.
Let's see here. Nice technical heel to get around the defender from number 11.
Peter Todt, he's gone down there. Just like, is there an elbow there?
Oh, it's number 17 who elbowed him, I think. I guess Jacob Bichou.
And there's some anger here.
Well, if they sort out the extracurriculars, we'll see what's going on.
Bichou's been moved away from the situation. Has he been punished by the referee?
You know what amazes me? Bichou's hair has not moved in this 18-knot swirl. Look at.
I think the referee's had a word with his assistant here. Let's see if there's any punishments going to be handed out.
It could be at least a yellow or a talking to.
The thing is,
shake hands and.
If he thinks there was an elbow there, then it should be a penalty kick.
Correct. So as they sort this out, let's tell you that the next Energy FC match will be on 23rd of April. So you can join Energy FC for their next home match on April 23rd as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. at historic Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com.
Should be a good one, that one, against SPR.
Throw in for Energy FC. And it's Kalen Ryden gets it into the penalty area, cleared by St. Louis. It could be a potential counterattack, but no. Pumped back into the mixture by Energy FC, and it's a throw-in.
Tell you what, Kalen Ryden suffered from those long throws in the first half, and now he's enjoying having the ball in his hand this time around.
Payback time for Kalen Ryden. Throwing into the penalty area, however, it gets past the run. Now at the feet of the defenders, and they keep floating the ball in there. That's kind of tough unless you put it to the back post, because if you put it where the attacker has to bring the ball down and turn to go to goal, he's going to have 2-3 defenders on his back.
Good spell of pressure, though, this for Energy. Camping in the St. Louis half, that's what you want to see.
Hardware clears it.
Just can't clear the lines at all.
Let's see who will take the throw in for Energy FC. They got 2 men on that sideline, which means they're one less on the field where he can get the ball. Now, ball gets tied up between the defender and the attacker, and St. Louis can't get that ball out. Now, finally.
That was needless. Absolutely no need for that foul there.
Well, Cyprian Hedrick giving his teammates a chance to get back and defend, but he may get a yellow for this one, or just gets a quick word from the referee, Maracci.
He wasn't going to turn and run at him. He could just have held him up there. Didn't need to make that challenge. And suddenly that spell of pressure.
You're right, because a foul like that on the edge of the penalty area gives a free kick to the opposing team. If you got a good free kick taker, you're pulling the ball out of your net. Now, on the flank, trying to clear it is Energy FC. Dalgard is back defending.
Done a lot of good work today, Dalgard, hasn't he?
Peter Toth, yeah. I like the first goal. The combination worked. Let's see if Energy FC can recompose their attacking play and create something like that instead of just throwing the ball in the penalty area, trying to take advantage of the win. St. Louis FC was able to do that off set pieces.
It's the right kind of ball, though. Just overhit that one, but that's the right kind of ball. Playing those little balls. Curdy can get round the back of the defense, cause them problems. We've got to, we're seeing a good amount from Peter Toth today and Sebastian Dalgard and Coy Kraft in midfield. That's a promising looking midfield that Energy have got out there today. Something to build upon for sure.
Another throw-in for Energy FC in front of the fans. Some of them texting, some of them watching the game. Well, certainly it's a privileged position there, field side. Here comes a shot on goal. It's a goal!
What
for
a goal.
Energy FC. And keeper could do nothing about it, Simon, because that was a hell of a strike for Energy FC. And even Jimmy Nielsen recognizes as he gets on the field to congratulate the goal scorer. Then what a left-footed strike from the newcomer. Again,
absolutely unbelievable. What a debut from Coy Kraft on loan from FC Dallas. 18-year-old making his debut. Already scored the opener. And then this left foot. Bang! Absolutely unstoppable. Fantastic goal from Coy Kraft.
So Coy Kraft has yet to collect a check from the team, but he's already collected 2 goals in his debut match for Energy FC. So talk about an addition to the club. Coy Kraft, of course, now we have a tie match. It's 2-2, and we have about 30 minutes to go in this match. So from that left foot. So exactly in the 60th minute, Coy Kraft scored. Yep.
Game on. 2-2. Everything to play for here in the last 30 minutes. What a fantastic goal that was.
Again, off a throw and nice turn. He's able to get that left foot or the left shin on it, but he's able to get enough spin on it that ball drops behind the goalkeeper's right shoulder where he can't get to it.
I'll tell you what, I know there's some fans of Energy FC sometimes will pop down when there's no game from Energy to go and maybe watch FC Dallas now and then in Major League Soccer. Hold on.
Here's some action in front of the goal mouth and just missed the goal. I think it was Musa, a man born in Plymouth, England. Or no, that looks to be a substitute. Ball, nice cross, pulled it back from number 15 for St. Louis.
Ambersley, yeah.
Mike Ambersley. And of course, Ambersley from DeSmet High School in St. Louis. Played for Rochester, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay in the NASL. So he's making, of course, a statement here because the game's not over and maybe the third goal will win this match. Here comes St. Louis.
There's more goals in this game, aren't there?
I think there might be, yes.
I think there might be a couple more goals in this game left.
So here comes into the area, cleared. Nice timing by Cyprian Hedrick, man born in Cameroon. So a lot of people in Cameroon speak French and English. I'm not sure if you remember Victor Ndip from 1990 when they played against England.
Right.
He was from the English-speaking region of Cameroon. Anyways, here comes a corner kick for St. Louis into the area, headed out by Energy FC. Collecting the ball, looks to be Duty. He'll take the throw in.
So yeah, I think any Energy fans who pop down to Dallas to watch an MLS game should just say a few words of thanks to FC Dallas for this deal that's brought Coy Kraft
Watch out, ball driven into the area, floats up in the air. Having some issues with it is Cochran. Referee says play on, but it was inside the goalie's box, so any contact there is a foul, so we'll see. Energy FC seems to have more success keeping the ball on the ground right now as Kalen Ryden plays it in the middle, and it's Hedrick plays up this ball again to Ryden, up the flank, nice turn, no foul called. Well, seems to be sort of a more of an English style referee. He lets the play go on, but this time he called a yellow card on Bouchou, it seems, and it'll be a free kick.
Attention please, the referee has issued a yellow caution card to St. Louis FC's number 17, Jacob Bouchou, in the 64th minute. Yellow caution
We
card,
take
St.
this
Louis FC's
moment to tell you about one of our sponsors, Morelos, who is a proud partner of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all 3 Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are Northwest 23rd and Meridian. Ball floated into the area. Northwest 50th and Meridian, and off of Northwest 5th and I-35 in Moore. Next home match is Saturday, April 23rd. So you get plenty of chances to go shopping before April 23rd at Supermercado Morelos. Simon.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they have the stuff you normally eat, but they got some really good
stuff. What is
stuff.
that supposed to mean, Kevin? What are
well,
pies at football matches. That's what we're talking
Next
about.
time we eat, you pay. How about that? All right, here comes on the flank. Energy FC coming around the left side, and already Bouchou with yellow card problem. If you get a dribbler against that, you could force them to play a man down.
Yep. A couple of defenders already with yellow cards now from St. Louis. That's something they're going to have to be observant of in this final 26 minutes or so.
Clearance out of the back, that's going to float up in the air, or it goes out for a throw-in. And Jimmy Nielsen playing ball boy right now, giving...
He looks like he wants to just get on the field, doesn't he, Jimmy? He always does. He's so involved in the game. He's there. As soon as the ball goes out of play, he's jumping around.
Well, you know what? It's the keeper's responsibility to get ball back in play off of a goal kick or something of the sort. So that's his instinct, I think. You know? And, of course, Jimmy, he's used to singing We are rot, we are vit, we are danske dynamit, which is what the Danish fans sing at the World Cups.
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess they'll do an Energy FC version, I guess. We are green, we are vit, we are energy dynamite, or something of the sort. Anyways, let's get back to the match here. Tied at 2, we're in the 66th minute of play between St. Louis, now attacking from left to right. Watch out, it could be dangerous here. And stumbling down is number 20. That is
Ciccarelli again.
Vince Ciccarelli at the end of a 45-yard run. He didn't quite have enough gas to get to thump that ball goalward. So we got a substitution. Number 25 for St. Louis coming in, Brandon Barklage. And I couldn't see who's, well, not yet. You can't see anything yet. Free kick for Energy FC.
Yeah,
Again.
it's Jacob Bouchou who's gone out there, who was on a yellow card, just picked up the yellow card. Probably worried about that at the back.
Yeah, we mentioned how if they played it properly, they could leave St. Louis with 10 men on the field.
Yeah, Dale Shilley thinking about that, playing it smart, taking off a caution defender. But Energy really needs to start putting on some pressure now, because 2-2 is a good result, decent result, but they would love to get all 3 points from this game.
Exactly. If you have 1 point, you add them up one by one. It's not the same as adding 3 to the sum total. And you got to start catching up to the guys who are at the front of the table. LA Galaxy 2 and all those other. Whoa. Here, going down, not sure, stumble here.
Toth again in the wars. He was the one who, that potential elbow incident went down.
Yeah, Toth, look, stepping on it and losing it is Dalgard. It's St. Louis ball. Stepping on it is number 15, Ambersley. Ponte lose control and goes straight into the hands of Carl Cochran. This is Cyprian Hedrick. This is just a wild clearance by Cochran, number 4. He can't seem to kick the ball out of bounds on one side, and on the other side, it just flies out of bounds. It's that wind.
Yeah, very strong wind. It's having a big impact on this game. And Energy can take advantage of it in this last 20 minutes or so.
Ryden plays it to Dalgard. Ball pass. Here comes Ryden into the penalty area. Can he shoot? He looks for some help. Here comes a shot, and it goes just wide. Nice play, nice combination work.
Good stuff. That's the kind of football you want to see. Good, sharp passing, creating space, creating opportunities, positive.
You're not just saying that because it was Toth, the Hungarian, who shot it, but nice combination work, which led to the first goal, almost leads to the third goal here.
Not a bad effort at all from Peter Toth either. You know, he was just a couple of inches wide there. He's had a good game. He's had a good game.
Plus you shoot into the wind, it'll bring it back into the goal.
Yeah, all kinds of things can happen. But I think he's made a positive contribution today as Toth.
So Cuevas, the newcomer, coming in for Toth. Toth takes the shot, is substituted immediately by Jose Cuevas, who came in from Arizona, and is also getting his first minutes with Energy FC.
Well, if you can make half the impact that Coy Kraft has done tonight, then, you know, that's good news.
Well, numerically, half the impact would be 1 goal.
Exactly.
So that's the winning
exactly.
goal. All right. Here's Ryden with the throw-in. Interesting how Energy FC tries the short throw-in option, whereas St. Louis always the long throw-in into the box. Here comes a cross from Ryden, who will go up and get it. And actually, that one should have been met higher up because you saw the defender crouch down to head it. That means the timing is off on both of them. Here comes St. Louis.
Referee
foul
spotted
called.
Infringement there, yeah. And the thing about Jose Cuevas, who's coming in there, you know, he's a player who did very, very well with the Charleston Battery. He was the Rookie of the Year in USL in 2012 when Charleston Battery won the title, and he was the MVP in the championship game. So he's a player of some pedigree at Arizona United, and it's quite a bit of business from Energy FC to bring in a player of that quality on loan for this season. And, you know, he's a player who could make an impact.
As you saw there, the replay, Kraft trying to protect the ball, but you know, behind him, Musa clipped his heel, and so we'll see who the foul is called on. I'm not sure. I would think it's maybe a 50-50 ball. I mean, a restart, I'm not sure. All right, as we wait for them to restart, we can tell you there's going to be more action on April 23rd here as Energy FC has their next home match on April 23rd as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. at historic Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK or visit energyfc.com. 235-KICK, of course, if you're not good at spelling on your phone, is 235-5425. Throw in now for St. Louis.
Just lost a little bit of momentum here.
Well, as we hit the 73-minute mark, I mean, it looked like we were going to get a third goal, and so we're going to hit a lull here, but I think this is going to heat up at minute 82. And they're going to, as each team says, well, they're trying to get some fresh legs.
Yeah.
And of course, the artificial turf, you know, does put a premium on your legs. Headed out by St. Louis FC. That looked to be Borklander.
Tell you what, though, we've seen one of the goals of the season tonight, haven't we? It's going to take a good goal from somewhere to beat that as goal of the season in the USL. Never mind just for the energy.
Yeah, Coy Kraft making an impact in USL and in Oklahoma. Hours within arriving. Here comes Ryden, will take the throw in. Plays it back. This time with Biscoff.
How good must that feel? It's come in on a debut, score 2 goals. You've barely got to know your teammates and you've already celebrated with them twice.
Musa brings the ball down, plays it back, and this is a wayward clearance from the defender. But you see, once you get that ball in the air, just things start happening. It's sort of like a mini tornado. Kalen Ryden with the throw-in, a whiff there. Ball on the ground, and this is Cuevas with his first touch.
It's getting stronger, this wind, I think, isn't it? This second half, I think it's picked up even more.
It's pleasant weather, except for the wind. Makes it very, very difficult to control the ball. Ryden, would you launch the ball into the penalty area if you were Ryden?
I think I'd certainly be tempted to whip a few more in there than they have been doing. We were saying the risk is overdoing it, and I think perhaps they might want to
They have yet to do it.
Yeah, take more advantage of these conditions.
Attempted clearance from Pace, and ball back in the penalty area. It comes back. It's almost like playing fronton.
That's a clever way of dealing with it, but it does put you under pressure. You know, those big clearances haven't worked for either goalkeeper in that wind. Nothing they can do.
If Dalgard puts some pressure on a defender, he may be able to steal a ball there.
Rolling it out makes sense, but it does mean if there's some high press in there, it puts your team under pressure straight away. I think we might
Maybe
see.
Koenig will show up because, you know, those goal scorers have a way of disappearing for a few minutes, like they went to the bathroom and all of a sudden they show up and they score.
He's definitely one of those players. Looks like Drew Connor coming on for St. Louis shortly. Stripped and ready for action. Fresh legs.
So holding on to the ball is Parker Mahler here.
Attention please, St. Louis FC substitution number 18. Drew Connor replacing number 7, Jameel Hardware in the 76th minute. St. Louis FC
So you heard it from the stadium announcer, Drew Connor replacing Jameel Hardware. So they're going to change not the hardware but the software too. And St. Louis FC, let's see if he plays a different position. So, as we got some action here, Hendrick trying to clear it for Energy FC. And St. Louis FC now putting a bit of pressure on the defensive third of Energy FC. And here comes a attempted clearance. It gives the keeper some problems. But foul called on the, I think it was Ciccarelli, trying to put some pressure on the keeper, Cochran. All right, so now we take this moment to tell you once again that Morelos is a proud partner of Energy FC. Get your grocery shopping done and buy your Energy FC tickets at all 3 Metro Supermercado Morelos locations. Locations are Northwest 23rd and Meridian, Northwest 50th and Meridian, and off of Northwest 5th and I-35 in Moore. Here's another substitution for Energy FC, number 14 coming off, and Frimpong, number 15, coming on. So what do you think this will do for the match, Simon?
Well, I think this is a positive move.
So Coy Kraft, after scoring 2 goals, is coming off. Replaced by Evans Frimpong.
Who's a striker. You know, he'll go up there and play alongside Koenig and really help them try and push. And obviously, you know, I think Coy Kraft, fantastic contribution to this game. Amazing debut from the 18-year-old. But obviously feeling the pace a little bit as we enter the final stage. It's a positive move from Jimmy Nielsen, putting on a striker for a midfielder. And let's see if Frimpong Evans can make a real impact.
So Evans Frimpong, of course, is a Ghanaian name. Let's see, he certainly brings speed. He played for Fort Lauderdale in the NASL last year. Throw in.
Just gives things a little bit different. You know, keeps St. Louis guessing. Koenig has been up there on his own, really, as a lone striker. So bringing Frimpong into the action gives us something different to think about.
It would be great on the counterattack because he certainly, the man born in Accra, Ghana, certainly is fast. Comes a long ball from St. Louis FC, mishandled by the central defense of Energy FC, but cleared. Finally, then headed forward by Dalgard, and now here comes Energy FC with some space in the middle. However, it's a funnel into the defense, and he gets pushed off the ball, but he gets the call.
Quite right, too. Bundled over there, Sebastian Dalgard. Again, a good positive burst forward from him.
Dalgard, who played for Brunshaw in Denmark. He doesn't get his shoulder into the challenge properly. That's why he gets pushed off by number 3 from Sam Fink for St. Louis, who definitely cuts off the angle correctly.
Yeah, but he barged into him. That's a foul. Correct decision from the referee. And an interesting situation now here because Jose Cuevas, the substitute, the new loan signing from Arizona United, looks very keen to take this free kick.
He's got a right foot, and let's see if he bends it. Would you put it in the near post or in the far post? As the keeper is standing closer to the far post, there's only a 4-man wall. Simon, say quickly.
He's a long way out. He's going to look to float it into the back post.
They're going to float it. It's a little bit low. All right, it's a corner kick, however, for Energy FC, and it'll be Cuevas taking it. Perhaps not a corner kick, a goal kick.
Hey? Not happy about that decision. Koenig looking in disgust at that decision.
I'm not sure why Yunus Marachi decided it was a goal kick, but you have to drive this one low and hard to get it out of that area. He drives it high and hard, and he gets it almost to midfield, still in play, headed by St. Louis, bumped off the ball, and it'll be a throw-in. I think that may have been a foul.
Really have to think with 10 minutes to go here, though, the Energy deserve more than a draw out of this game. I think really over the balance of the game, St. Louis had that good spell, 15, 20 minutes in the first half, taking advantage, whipping those balls in with the wind at their back. But this second half, it has been all Energy going forward.
Here comes a ball. Floated into the attacking third by St. Louis. Nice turn on it by number 15, Ambersley. Then trying to fight for it is it looked to be Musa. Or no, I think might have been Drew Connor for St. Louis. But it'll be Carl Cochran's ball. And he will take the goal kick out of the back. Simon, I said this match might heat up in the 82nd minute. Right now, I've got about 40 seconds to see if one of the teams reacts. But we do have a substitution here. It'll be number 16 coming in for St. Louis, Jake Bond. And it'll be Chad Bond and Jake Bond. And the name is Bond, I guess. I don't know who went off, but I know there's at least one Bond on the field. So let's see. All right, Cochran clears it. Long way downfield. Frimpong gets it under control, plays it back to the middle. Looking for an opening is Energy FC, plays it back to Frimpong. Frimpong does a bit of shuffle on the ball. Switch the point of attack. And here's Dalgard. Playing on the left side, where he can cut inside and shoot with his right foot should he find the space. Now this is going to be a good ball. Played back into the midfield. This ball sits up too high and too long because it gives the defenders time to get underneath it, but nice attempt at a turn looked to be Koenig. No, it wasn't Koenig. Could you tell, Simon? All right. The
Might
restart,
have been
it'll be.
Cuevas. I think it was Jose Cuevas, the substitute.
Yeah.
But you know what? That was a really good move. That was probably the best passage of play we've seen from Energy in this game.
Well, in the last 10, 15 minutes.
I think
I like the goal. I would say I like that passage of play. Here comes St. Louis. Watch out here. And clearing it is the Hedrick, born in Cameroon. And he does not mess about with that ball. Throw in for St. Louis.
Yeah, but it was patient build-up, switched flanks, 13 or 14 passes
Parker
in one movement.
Plays it around the back. St. Louis, now Musa. The New Zealander plays it to the back, and then it's A.J. Cochran who turns. Watch out, this could be trouble. As trying to pounce on it and getting to it is Energy FC. It looked to be the attacker. That's no, it's not Toth. Could be Daniel Gonzalez. Nice turn. Nope. Yes, foul called. This could be a good chance here for Energy FC, and I'm not sure what Marachi is going to go speak. This is not the moment. There's one team attacking.
No, but I know what this is about. There was a little incident off the ball. Not so much that one, but there was.
I mean, Bond just put his hands on him.
Earlier on, there was a push in the face of one of the Energy players there after the ball had gone. And the referee missed it.
All right, so Cuevas takes all the free kicks. Let's see whether he can get better placement on this one, because it's got to be dropped between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. And that's close to where Cuevas gets it. Here comes Frimpong. There's a scramble. Frimpong still with the ball. He turns and shoots. The defense clears it. And now it looks to be number 15. No, not number 15. Well, in either case, it's St. Louis FC with the ball. Another throw-in. This game has got to break some kind of record for throw-ins. I don't know if those things are ever kept, but
this wind is
the wind is making it
very hard to keep it on the deck.
It's a huge factor tonight, Simon. Ball floated through. There we see some good work from the central defender, protecting his goalkeeper from an attacker coming close and impeding his handling of the ball. So it's Carl Cochran who will launch it goalward. Nice, headed on.
Very direct, and we haven't really seen as much of that as we thought we were going to do in this half, but it's at that funny stage of the game now, isn't it? 5 minutes to go. A draw is a decent result here for Energy FC. You know, and after the start of the season, a real morale booster, but what a boon it would be to grab a late winner.
This would mean the second draw for Energy FC. And of course, they still need to go out and get a victory in their next match. Of course, you can join Energy FC for their next home match on April 23rd as they take on the Swope Park Rangers at 7 p.m. in Taft Stadium in the heart of Oklahoma City. For tickets, call 235-KICK, 235-5425, or visit energyfc.com. Simon, what can you tell me, because I am not aware too much about Swope Park Rangers?
Yeah, another of the new teams that have come through in USL in the last year or so, and really a sign of the growth of the game across the United States. We're seeing teams in communities we wouldn't necessarily expect to see in the USL, in NPSL, in NESL. The game really spreading at all levels. You know, so much of the talk is about Major League Soccer, of course, but there's so much going on at the different tiers of the game.
Well, I would like, I mean, I'm watching here some of the skills shown by Sebastian Dalgard. And, you know, he showed it in the Danish Superliga. And maybe you want to get him closer to goal. So when that turn happens, he can take a shot right away and make something happen. Right now, he's on the flank. He can cut inside, but he seems to be a little bit far from Koenig to make things happen.
Yeah, Koenig's been a little bit too isolated. I agree with you on that. I think he's got a fantastic touch and the ability to link up with people, as we saw for that first goal, where he shielded the ball so well.
Here comes, watch out, this is giving Energy FC problems, those throw-ins. Still a scramble in front of the goal mouth and cleared, finally, by Energy FC. And, of course, it was the defender, again, Cyprian Hedrick. But Energy FC having some problem coming out of the back. And, of course, we are coming into the final 5 minutes of play, losing the ball. Musa here at St. Louis FC with the ball. And an attempt, a shot on goal, just off target. And watch out. You could lose a match like that, lose all your points, Simon, if you don't watch yourself in these situations.
Exactly. But good closing down there. Did enough to put him off that shot.
Musa seems to be St. Louis FC's most influential player. Of course, in his position, he's sort of a defensive midfielder moving forward and organizing the team. But he stole that ball there and almost gave a pass which led to a goal. Here comes, chested down, nice play from St. Louis with a left-footed shot there on that far side. But this is the time when Energy FC is the home team. If they want to settle for the tie, fine. But right now they are really, really scrambling at the back, and we have, of course, the alarm bells ringing at the back as they give up 2 opportunities for St. Louis FC to take the match and the 3 points.
Just going back to Swope Park Rangers, one thing that fans who might be wondering about that club that maybe don't know, they're a team from Kansas City.
As we take a chance here to note one of the rule differences, we're going to get a substitution here to take the throw in, number 19 for Energy FC. It's Michael Harris coming in.
He's going to throw it in before he's even got on the field.
Yeah, well, on USL you get 5 substitutions as opposed to the FIFA mandated 3. So just if you're a fan, you're watching. And here comes the acrobatics. Nice throw into the penalty area. This could lead to something. Watch out, here's a shot. And, well, you like that one, don't you?
Hey, that's another one for the highlight reel, isn't it?
Put that on the highlight reel. All right. However, we still have a tie match here. Here comes it in the penalty area. Cross in the area, cleared by St. Louis and Frimpong, and I think it was Harris get tangled up in there. Here come Energy FC coming forward. It's getting a bit chaotic now, but as we hear, going to be 3 minutes added on by the referee.
Here goes Harris again.
3 minutos. See, they're finally getting the same weapon St. Louis FC was using in the first half.
Yeah.
The long throw went into the area.
And Harris is good at it, isn't he? Even with a limited run up there, he didn't have the space to do the acrobatics.
I bet he was a cheerleader in high school. Okay, we'll bet lunch on that one day. Simon. But certainly is a new weapon. And certainly he wants to go forward.
I think St. Louis happy to run down the clock here. They're definitely going to be the happier of the 2 teams with a point.
Sam Fink taking his time to clear this out of the back. Sends it all the way into the attacking third. Energy SC's got to deal with it. Now this one will be out of play. It'll be throw-in for St. Louis FC. Fleur de Lis on their crest. Of course, it's a flower that also other North American cities with French heritage share, such as New Orleans,
right, exactly,
Montreal.
Yeah. And elsewhere, Fiorentina.
That would
There
be
he is again. Fantastic.
Virgilio.
Incredible distance. I mean, that's not just a party trick. That's effective.
By the way, and there's no offside on the throw-in, so if you get that from midfield, you could spring an attacker straight on goal.
Well, here we
Just
are.
wait up
We're
there.
in the final third. It works. And
Here it comes. He's going to get the left-footed cross in, but it's blocked by the defenders.
Last chance this really, yeah?
In this one, he could pretty much,
Last chance
if a
for
goalkeeper touches it, he could throw this in a goal. Harris throws it in the, watch out, here it comes, it's in the mixture. Energy FC looking for that winning goal. We're in extra time. We're in the last minute of play. Kayvon Antonio Haydari and Simon Evans bringing you the action from Oklahoma City.
Got to be the last chance here now for Energy.
Here it comes. Keeper drops the ball. Cleared by St. Louis. A bit of how do you say, urgency to the final seconds of the match. Brought in by this sort of like specialist, Michael Harris.
That's what you want from your subs, make an impact.
Here's Dalgard, puts the ball in the far post. Nice technical work to bring the ball down. Another cross floated in, and this looked like it could have been very promising as the 3 minutes of added time are up, but the referee says let's let this play go on. And here comes another chance for Energy FC as they really put a stamp on the final couple of minutes. Marachi, let's see, when he looks at his watch, he'll probably blow his whistle. Here comes another ball.
Oh, Koenig.
Another chance for Energy FC. And that's it. The action is over right here in Oklahoma City. And there we have the final score. 2 at historic Taft Stadium. Energy FC 2, St. Louis FC 2.
You know, hard to disagree with that score, but I think Energy will feel they did enough in that second half to maybe sneak that game. You know, they had plenty of pressure, created some chances, but maybe not enough clear-cut chances. Good game of football tonight. The fans have had their value for money. Some entertaining football in difficult conditions.
Well, Energy FC started with the first goal off of a nice combination. Then they, off 2 set pieces and some defensive problems, St. Louis took the lead, and then Energy FC finally able to tie, and the same man scored both goals, Simon, for Energy FC.
Story of the night, Coycroft. Absolutely. Comes into the club on loan from FC Dallas and delivers 2 goals. The second one, an absolute stunner, a contender already for goal of the season in USL.
Would you be happy if you were Energy FC with a point here tonight?
You know, there'll be a sense of disappointment that they were the better team, especially in the second half, and didn't come away with the 3 points. But it was an encouraging display. Jimmy wanted to see some of the character of his team after the disappointments 2 weeks ago, and he saw that.
Well, let's go to the highlights, okay? And this is how the game went on. The start a little bit later than we expected, and this was the first chance for Energy FC, Simon.
Positive start. You know, Jimmy had been talking about that first 20 minutes, how it was absolutely vital that they didn't concede. And then here's the opening goal. Koenig doing fantastically well, and Kraft getting space on the left and low shot into the bottom corner. Goal on his debut for the 18-year-old.
So here's the set pieces for St. Louis FC. A mistake at the back, taken advantage of by Dino Cicciarelli.
Yeah, Kalen Ryden had a tough time dealing with some of those balls in, and this throw-in as well here. It goes against the post, but we saw the wind in the second half. The St. Louis had similar problems.
And then this one, I'm not sure why they gave the goal. They didn't give the goal to number 22, Cudi. Duty, Patrick Duty, but however, still in the back of the net, and so with the lead, it's St. Louis FC, and they still apply the same medicine, which is the throw-in off the woodwork.
I have to say, you know, when you look at the advantage the wind gave the teams when they had it behind their backs, St. Louis really took more advantage of the wind with the kind of balls they whipped in there.
That one was Cicciarelli again, a little bit off target, and this is cause for the yellow card for both of them. Number 9, of course, Danny Koenig did not get a yellow card for grabbing the back of Boshu's neck. And this is a beautiful goal.
Absolutely stunning goal. Kraft's left foot finish, unstoppable shot.
Nice. Their dribble from number 22 for Energy FC. And he passed it, of course, to, again, Dalgard, who shot, and Koenig, with Kalen Ryden dribbling into the area. Perhaps that looked like it might have been the winning goal, but at the end, it's 2-2, and it's a tie, 1 point for each as they try to climb up the USL table.
You know, it's funny, we were saying before the game how last season they hadn't managed to score against each other, gone through those 228 minutes without a goal, nothing to choose between them. We've had 4 goals tonight, which has been great, but look at those stats, almost identical. Fouls committed, shots, everything very, very close.
Well, we certainly had action, if that's what you came to get. And, of course, the two teams realized that tonight was a chance for them to move up the table. They brought the goals to the field. And, of course, there you have the final score. Energy FC 2, St. Louis FC 2. And, of course, we had a bit of fun for our staff, for all our crew. My name is Kayvon Antonio Haydari, along with Simon Evans, and join Energy FC next match, April 23rd. Until next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.